Good evening. Hand today is pocket tens. So in this hand, we're back to full ring. A tight player playing 13-7 out of 2,000 hands. Open raises the 4 big blinds. I think he's got a pretty big hand here. I think we're looking at something, ace king, ace queen, jacks plus probably. You can see his middle position, his raise first in's 9%. Definitely really tight. So, what is, 9%? If we add in some of this stuff, you're looking at about 9%, just like that. And that's probably how tight he is. Definitely pretty tight. So then it comes to me, and it's my decision. So what do we do against a tight player like this? I think we could call, but I think we're going to have to tighten up a little bit. I do think we could take advantage of a raise. You can see his fold to 3-bet stats, 71%. Definitely wide. So I kind of think we can raise ace queen. We could probably raise king queen suited. Maybe probably raise ace jack. So ace jack, ace queen offsuit we could probably raise. I think ace queen, king queen suited might play a little bit better. Might give us a little bit more opportunity to win a pot if we just call with those. I think we could raise 5, 6s, and 7s. If we get folds, great. If he calls, hey, we're just basically going to set mine at that point because he's going to be pretty darn tight. I think we could add in some 3-bets with, maybe like a 9, 7, 10, 8, jack 9 hands that could catch something if we get called, but they're more of a long shot instead of our suited connectors. I think ace 2, ace 3, ace 4 we could raise. I'm going to say thing with the aces, though. I mean, if we 3-bet to aces, we know we make it harder for him to have the aces, which against this range, I think if we have an ace in our hand, it makes it harder for him to have these, which means he probably is more likely to have pocket pairs or these other hands, king, queen, jack, which I think he's going to have more pocket pairs in his range. Now, would he fold 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s to a raise? Possibly. And I think that's kind of maybe why we might raise with like ace 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just may possibly call with like ace 10, ace 9. But even then, I don't like calling with ace 9 or ace 10 because we could be outkicked if he does have the ace king, ace queen. Goes against the whole idea that maybe we should be calling with that because if we have an ace, it's harder for him to have an ace. So kind of have to maybe play around with that, see how it works. But I'm going to go with this because this is probably what I was following. I called, everyone else folded, and a tight villain. And I'm going to note that really we don't have any overly loose players here. This guy might be the most, about 100 hands. He's playing 28% VPIP. Everyone else seems to be pretty tight here. So this villain gets to the big blind and he calls. His pre-flop call in the big blind, call 2-bet in the big blind is 19%, so 27 out of 139. You can probably guess that he's not going to be overly loose. His 3-bet stat is 4%. So I think queens plus ace king. Maybe ace queen with the jacks. That might get us better. That's about 4%. That could be his 3-bet range, and then we're going to take those kings out, and we're going to add more of these. Something like that. That might be a little bit more reasonable for his calling range. I am going to add, 2s and 3s, so let's get rid of maybe that and just do, that's his calling range. So we're going to go 3-way to the pot. Let's get my hand in my document. So I've got 6.18%. I have 82 combos versus a tight player. Flop comes out, king of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 10 of spades. Overall, it's kind of a dry board. Could hit kings, but with 2 10s on deck, it's hitting trips is going to be a little bit hard. You do have open-ended straight draws. You got flush draws out there, and if we look at things, you can see his open-ended straight draw flush draw set is a total of about 4%. Total of about 4%. This player, he's going to have more. It's about 15% flush draw with open-ended straight draw. So there's draws out there. So villain 4 checks. I'm not surprised. I don't have him donking out of almost 50 hands, so not surprised with him. This villain, he c-bets 76% when he's in position, 59% when he's out. I do think when he's going to c-bet here, probably doesn't c-bet quads, probably doesn't c-bet a full house here. I think 3 of a kind c-bets, over pair c-bets. Top pair is a maybe. Pocket pair below the top card. I think he just checks. He's probably going to be scared of the king that's out there. I do think he is probably going to bet flush draw and maybe the open-ended straight draw as well. So maybe that's going to be his c-betting range. He checks, so let's switch this. We're going to give him quads and full house. All of those. We're going to X his flush draw, open-ended straight draw. X those, and then get rid of those. So I think that is his range, which he either has a monster hand or, pretty weak hand. And then it's going to be on to me. And what do I do? So, once it checks to me, we can check behind and take the free card, or we can. So if we bet, what are we hoping to accomplish? So if we bet, what's going to call us? I think a king calls us. I think diamonds call us. I think open-ended straight calls us. Not sure how many gut shots call us. If we bet with a flush draw and face a raise, I don't think we can call. Same thing with an open-ended straight draw. We can bet with a gut shot and expect to fold if we get raised. This might be a board where we just check everything. Maybe we just check everything. Not necessarily because we're scared of anything, but we're going to be checking our really big hands because it's going to be hard for our opponent to connect. And we basically have everything covered. Whereas if we bet and we're just doing it as a draw, we would really hate, I think, a call. There's really not many cards we would like. If we had a diamond, we'd be happy with a diamond, but this guy's so tight, he could easily have pocket kings at this point. So I almost think we should be checking everything here. Checking everything, and if it checks around to us, then maybe we take a stab at the turn. At some point with our big hands, we do want to get money into the pot, start to build a pot, but we also don't want to bet and just have them dump everything. So I kind of think maybe we're going to check everything. So let's do that. Check 100% of our range because I don't know what else to bet. Maybe the jacks we could bet, or betting it as a flush, as a bluff, but you're hoping ace and queen. There's only, if they have an ace or a queen, you're dealing with 6 or 7 outs total. If they have like ace little, it's 3 aces out there, 3 for the queen. I mean, the 6 total outs. You've got more, so maybe like pocket pair below the board, we can bet, and that's 42% of our hands. Maybe the gut shots and our 2-card backdoor flush draws could be, bet, possibly. Tough one. So we're just going to check 100% of our range. We've got 71 combos total, and we see a turn of a 6 of clubs. So, that's kind of one of those where if we bet the flop, that doesn't really improve our equity, doesn't really improve our opponent's equity. I think if we bet, they're probably still going to call with everything, unless they were calling because they thought I was bluffing myself. So villain 4 checks, and he might be in the same situation. He's probably going to check all of his big cards, but I kind of feel like top pair is going to be betting now. I think pocket pair below the board is probably just going to call. I think the over pair is definitely going to check, and then you've got the draws that I think he's going to be checking. So we're going to say he's checking that range. Villain 7 checks again. Again, this is a little bit unusual. He c-bets 59% and then c-bets again 29%, turn continuation bet, but he didn't make that continuation bet. So I think he definitely gets real honest on the turn. So with him checking again, I almost want to say, oops, hold on. We didn't add this. 6 of clubs. There we go. I think the full house checks, but I think 3 of a kind's going to bet. I think our top pair is going to be betting. Flush draw. We're going to be betting all of those. I think top pair is going to be betting. So I think we're going to be looking at that. Was his checking range. And now I still think probably quads and full house is going to check. I think generally people are a little bit afraid. Could be betting. I think this might be a spot to try to bet now, but you've checked the flop, maybe check the turn and hope the boards connects in some way so that we can fire out a bet. Maybe the diamond we fire out a bet and hope to get raised by the nut flush draw. That could be kind of a strategy. So I think he checks those. Is there any hands that I think he would be betting? No, I think he's probably still just going to be betting 100% of his range, and then it gets to us, and everyone has now checked to us. I think now this is where we start to take advantage of things. I think we check our top pair. I think we check our 3 of a kind, straight, full house, quads maybe. We could bet them, but if you think about what hands are going to call, I don't think 6s are going to call. Jacks and queens, maybe they're going to call. I think they can just dump it and say, you know what, I was still playing a 10 or a king. So I think jacks and queens, can find a fold. The diamonds could call, but if I bet large enough, they might say, you know what, I'm not going to chase. I'm not getting the odds. So I kind of feel like flush draw, we're going to check here, and I think we go for, bets maybe with jacks. Because we're not going to get a king to fold or a 10 to fold, and those are what we're trying to get. So, and same thing, pocket pair below the second card. We're turning it into a bluff basically, but we do have some value. I guess with those, it makes it easier to bet. Try to get aces to fold. Weak pair, we can probably do no made hands as bluffs, so maybe just those. Minus our flush, open end, straight draws, and gut shots. I think that's probably our betting range. And then you've got your flushes that are going to kind of be checking here behind, hoping to connect. So I think at this point, I do think we're going to be checking here, and it won't be with 100% of our range. So we're narrowing it down to 29.4%, which gives us 20 combos. And you can see we're kind of in the lead at this point because I think we should be taking a stab at least 7, 8, 9. If a diamonds come along, hey, that's great. We still have a pair. But if we get them to fold, and especially if they fold, like Queen 9, Jack 9 of diamonds, hey, we can. I think that works. So now 4 spades hits on the river. Anyone that was drawing doesn't connect. So villain 4 checks, villain 7 checks, and the question is, what kind of hands do we think they would bet? I think now they're going to be betting quads in a full house, definitely. So they're all pretty weak. Weak pair, ace high. The same thing. I think at this point you're dealing with something like that. If I bet, who's going to call? Maybe the queens and jacks call. I think at this point we try to bet an amount that encourages a call, just to see if we're bluffing. So ace high could call, like ace queen of diamonds could be calling here, or just ace queen, any ace queen, just to see if we have a pair. Possibly get jacks or queens, possibly 9-8-7 could call. So what could accomplish that? A pot size bet, maybe a little bit over pot size bet. So 25 is 2x pot, so maybe do 18 and a half, 1.5 times. Maybe that'll get someone to come along. And villain 7 calls. So when villain 7 calls at this point, I do have to think he's got this jacks or queens, and he checked because he's afraid of that king, and he's calling just to see it. So I show my quads, and he did have queens. So kind of what I expected. Would he have called on the turn? Probably. Would he have called then on the river? I don't think so. I think if he was only going to call once. Now we're kind of hoping that other people would have bet. So I think if he bets the turn, I think we just call, and then on the river, if he checks again, then we bet. If he bets, we just call, because I don't think he's gonna he would raise. I think it kind of depends on how much he bets too. So this is maybe it was a little interesting. I mean, easy to play when you flop quads, but kind of get us into thinking what other hands in our range do we do this play? Do we check down all the way to the river? What hands would we raise? I think that's the important concept, not so much what do we do with our tens, with our quads, how do we make the most? It's what other hands should we do it with on this board versus players like this. So yeah, we did have tens, so that was in our range, and queens was in his range, so definitely hit it. So if you like this, look tomorrow for another hand.